It's all right. I hope you guys are having a phenomenal day. If not, do understand and get your day, night, wherever you are, is going to get better once your perception gets better. So I wanted to talk about the consumer law aspect, right? Um, and I know most of us, right, we want to get added our bills, right? Um, but it is an ongoing process, okay? Is not something that is like, all right, well, I'm just gonna send this in or whatever it is. It you have to really like study the stuff, okay? Lately, as of I want to say, was it last week or the week before last? Um, I was studying it, right? Like I was watching a guy who is on Instagram, Mancy, I think his name is. And I was watching his videos and stuff like that, him talking about consumer law and, all these different things. And from me watching him and taking his class, okay. But before well, actually, after I purchased the class, I told you guys the whole story with, T-Mobile and things of that nature. Um, but you really have to like study the stuff, okay? Because it may even, and it's not even like, oh well, it may, but it will possibly come a time where as though you have to take the corporations to court, okay, to sue. And I know at times, like especially us, and I don't even want to say us, but us of color, we have a certain feeling of going to court, right? Like the idea of us going to court. And I tell you guys all the time, like why I'm so grateful for everything, and I'm so grateful and thankful for divine timing, okay? And the reason being is before I could do, going to court and stuff like that, I had to start this journey off with facing my fears, okay, facing myself. And everything is within you already. If you listen to your intuition, I'm telling you, your life is going to change, but you have to be the change that you want to see. So I done found so much stuff out. Okay. So over here, because that's pretty much all I've been doing. Last night, I think I went to bed like after 11. I was just studying and stuff. Then I put on the television, and a lot of nowadays, before I would be easily like distracted, when I was just making content, making videos and stuff like that. Like, yeah, I still would be reading and stuff like that. But consumer law, it really has my attention because it's like really your way of being free, okay? And everything I had heard the brother who I was watching on Instagram say drowning, like everything is really what you call them, metaphors, right? Like drowning in debt, right? We had heard everything is like related to water, Jesus walking on water and all these different things is really talking about consumer law, okay? And so right here I had, because I just got finished watching a replay of the class that I had purchased. And it's so interesting. Okay. So down payment, like if you putting down a down payment in accordance to 15 USC 1615, how to get your money back. All right. So on here say prompt refund of unearned interest required if a consumer prepays in full. Okay. The financed amount under any consumer credit transaction, the creditor shall prompt refund any unearned portion of the interest charged to the consumer. Okay. How did the consumer prepay in full with our application? So many of us, right, and myself included, I told you guys like I had put a $5,000 down payment on a car. Okay. I know. Cause that I know. I was just so eager to get a new ride. And I had put 15, I had put $5,000 down on a car. And a lot of us, when we sign the contract, right? Like when we look at the contract, we just sign it. Most of the time it's not, you're not even reading. And these corporations know that, right? And I don't want to say they taking advantage of us, because like no, nobody is actually putting anything to our head and telling us, making us sign it, right? It's like we doing it of free will. And so once you fill out that application, okay, which becomes the collateral because it has your social security number on it, that thing is paid for in full. I told you guys the other day I was watching this sister YouTube channel, and up under the comment she was saying, it was a young lady who was saying that she had went over her she pulled out her mortgage statement, and she said in the contract, the mortgage statement is stated that the mortgage was paid in full. After they gave her, her contract and everything, on a contract it said paid in full. Okay. And so, is really about you applying yourself and you knowing your rights. And the reason I'm doing this is because I told you guys before, I don't want my children working for anybody. Okay. I don't want them working for anybody. And so that's why I put my time and dedication into learning this stuff. And it's you got to look at it like this. This is how I see it. Okay. When you go to the dealership, right, and you apply for that car, and they come back and tell you you was denied, if the inquiry is already on your credit report, that's proof that it actually was paid for. The vehicle, it was actually paid for. You could look this up in the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, the Federal Reserve. Okay, you could read this stuff for yourself. Okay, so it was already paid for. One second. And if it wasn't paid for already, okay, then ask yourself this question: why, according to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, okay, it states that Equal Credit Opportunity Act Regulation B, okay, protects applicants from discrimination in any aspect of a credit. So to the people that's out there that's like, well, when you go, they gonna deny you if you got a low credit score, but they're not supposed to. And just because is something, what is it? What law is there? Is there 12 USC? One second, family. Cause I know some people is like, well, if your credit score is low, they still gonna deny you. Okay, I'm trying to find it in my notes, but I know it's one part that talks about like Congress had found a trend, right? Far as leasing vehicles, okay, meaning that a lot of us we say, well, they still gonna deny you, right? Like we think that that's just law because you got denied. But according to the Constitution and according to the Federal Reserve, okay, and the Bill of Rights, okay, even the CFPB, you're not supposed to be denied. And so you can say to yourself, well, they denied me, that's just it. Or you can say, or you can say that you're going to fight for your rights. So either way, it's like really the choice is yours. I'm talking about consumer law. Either way, the choice is yours, right? But once you start knowing this stuff, once you start having an overstanding of like what's really, really going on, then you're going to start taking the necessary steps. I was watching I think his name Christopher Housing, I think. But he talks about consumer law too. And one of the things he had made a statement, he said, you don't have to live in a projects, right? And it's so crazy because oftentimes we think that we are limited because we like, well, I can't afford this, or some people say they can't afford that, or afford whatever it is. But in all actuality, like the payment already went through. Okay. When you get that inquiry on your credit report, that's the indication that the payment had went through. Now, some may say, well, they said I was denied. Well, is either you're gonna listen to what the banks say, which the banks are the borrowers, you gonna listen to what the banks say, or are you gonna listen to the ones that created the laws of the land? Okay, and that would be the Constitution, the Federal Reserve, the Bill of Rights. Okay, so you gotta start asking yourself. And one of the things that I do is I say I deserve better, right? Like if you really feel deep down inside your heart, right? Like, and you know that you deserve better, you're not just going to be like, all right, well, they just denied me or whatever it is like that. Like a few days ago, I had got denied from American Express, right? And I had called them. Okay. I'm on the phone with the guy and I'm basically telling him, I'm like, y'all creating securities fraud, right? Because y'all already ran, I gave you access to, my social security number. Okay. And if y'all not going to give me, the credit card, okay, then you need to give me my application back. And so the guy was basically saying, oh, well, you was denied because your credit score and stuff like that. And what I told him, I said, it doesn't matter about the credit score, okay? According to the CPFB, okay, which that's really like the credit consume is the consumer credit something. Let me see, because honey, I don't want to be on here telling you guys. The CFPB, okay, that's the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Okay, so I said, according to them, okay, and a lot of us we think, oh well, Experian, TransUnion, Equifax, all of those are bureaus. Those are not bureaus, okay, or bureaus, whatever you want to call it. That they are, it says .com. It does not say .gov. Okay, so they are a third party. They are not with the government. They are not a entity part of the government. Okay, and so when you start doing the research and stuff like that, you will start seeing that this is actually discrimination. Now, some may say, "Oh well, but your credit score is low." But according to them, okay, the CFPB, okay, it says credit applications. It has like a whole list, like you should never be discriminated against, like in any of these cases. It doesn't say like in one case, it says in any case, okay, you should not be discriminated against. Okay, and this is like the list, okay? And so when you fill out something and you like, oh well, they denied me and stuff like that, that that's actually security fraud. Okay, like you gave them something and they were supposed to give you something back in return, but instead they told you no because your credit score it was low. Okay, which is actually security fraud. Okay, according to 15 USC 1602 P, and it talks about like how it is an unauthorized use, right? Like when they run your credit card and your credit card, which is really, your social security number. Okay. when they run it, and then they come back and be like, "Oh no, you wasn't qualified," and you may think walk away and think like, "Oh well, that account is closed." That account is not closed. Is as if you still is as if you have that card, but you really don't, right? And the more I read this and watch the videos, it's like, oh my goodness, like, you just been going through life and just really believing that everything was based upon a fictitious credit score, right? A fake credit score. And that's why when I say the CPFB, that's why they said you're not supposed to be discriminated against. Because if that was the case, I'm quite sure the CPFB borough, they would have said, in some cases, okay, if you have a low credit score, okay, then you could be denied credit. But on their website, it say in any case, you're not supposed to be denied credit. Okay, credit is actually our birthright. And so, with that being said, make sure you guys are doing your own research. Okay, get a overstanding that everything is like actually already paid for. Anytime you put your social security number on the application, which is actually the collateral, which is really the prepaid, okay, then know that that thing is paid for. But it also take you doing your research. It takes you reading, and it also takes you having an understanding of like really what's going on. And don't give up. Like, don't give up so soon. Like, oh well, the corporation, they sent this back to me, or they sent that back to me, or whatever it is. You gotta do what works for you, what works for you and your family. And with that being said, I catch you guys on the next one. Peace.